Okay, so we are doing the um, nested decisions part three, the hardware store. There's a hardware store and they have a bunch of different kind of discounts that people can have. And at the end, they want a receipt that shows this information. So let's go to Notepad++. There we go. All right, so I have put everything into here. You can see the 8%, $800, 20%, yada, yada, yada. So it showed, it said a receipt that wants to see the amount of the original order, the amount of the discounts, the subtotal, the amount of the tax, and the final bill. So we can see that I already put that down here. So there's the final bill or final price, tax, subtotal, discount, original price, just to make things a little bit faster so that it doesn't end up being an hour video. After I finish doing that, then I move up and take a look at all the different places that I have numbers. So you can see we have a 10, a 5, an 800, a 20, a 90, and all those numbers now are here. Notice also that I didn't call this the 800 discount rate. I called it the large order one. And the reason for that is if they change it and they say, well, we're giving too many discounts, so it's going to be 1,000, having it as the $800 discount rate and or having it the 800 ordered cutoff and having this equal 1,000 will be kind of confusing. So we try to make it generic. All right, after we get all this, then I have to determine which of these is going to go into input, which I have forgotten here. So input. All right, and the original price, someone has to tell me what that is. So Control C, Control V, and the rest of these have to be math. Control C, Control V, and again, equal space equal. I'll go ahead and Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. All right, now we start with the last one first because the last one uses the things above it, and we know that the final price is going to be this subtotal plus the tax. So we do that, subtotal plus the tax, and then we move up. Whoops. And what is the tax going to be? Well, the tax is going to be the subtotal times the tax rate. And that's 8% of sales tax rate. So sales. I was wondering why it didn't come up. Sales tax rate. And then what is the subtotal? And the subtotal is what happens after we subtract the discount. So it'll be the original price. Original price minus the discount. And then what is the discount? And the original, that is going to be also the original price. And that's going to be times the tax rate. So sales tax. No. That'll be the discount rate. So we can see that we have a bunch of discounts. So we're going to call this disc rate. And one of these discount rates is what the disc rate is going to be. So now that we've gotten all this math out of the way, the only thing we really have to figure out is the disc rate. And the disc rate is based upon certain things. And you can see that we have a disc rate of 20%, 10%, and 5%. So which should we find first? And we should find, remember last time we had a problem, we said we look for the highest populations. Well, when you're looking at discount rates, you always want to look for the highest discount rate first, because once they get the highest discount rate, then the rest of these we don't even look for. We don't want to look for the lowest one first because we don't want to say, okay, well, you earned 5%. Oh, wait a minute. No, you've earned 10%. Oh, wait a minute. You've earned 20%. what we want to do is we want to say you own 20%, and even if they're eligible for the other discounts, they don't get them because you only get one for each one. So we're going to say that if contractor equals yes, then the disk rate is going to be equal to that contractor disk rate. And I could use something different than contractor. I could have, I don't know what I would ask, but you can't ask what type are you, contractor or employee, because they can be both a contractor and an employee, because that's what we have down here in our practice data. It shows that this person is a contractor and an employee, so I can't ask the same question. I can't ask one question because they might say, well, I don't know what I am. I'm an employee, I guess, but they are also a contractor. So that's going to be an input, contractor. And that's going to be a yes or no question. What happens if they're not a contractor? So now we're going to be using that else if to nest this. So we only see if they are an employee if they said no to contractor. And when that's true, then the disk rate is going to be equal to the disk rate. And again, now I have another input, employee, yes or no. So again, I don't know what kind of question I would ask besides that. This makes more sense to ask for that. All right, and then the next one has nothing to do with what the customer is, but how much they have purchased. So we're going to do another else if, and this one is if the original price is greater than the cutoff. So large order cutoff, if it's greater than that $800, then the disk rate is going to be equal to the large order disk rate. Then we have one more to do because that's what happens if they have a discount. But then we'll have an else here. And for this one, we'll say that else the disk rate is going to be equal to 0. So remember, we can do that. Even though it's a number, we can put that in our logic calculation section because it's an absolute. All right, it's 0. And so that takes care of the discount. And then we have the sales tax issue. And the sales tax issue is if they're over 90, then it's 0. So what we're going to do is we have this sales tax rate here is 8%. What we want to do is turn it into 0. So again, that's going to be if age, so we call that, oh, we don't even have the, if cust age is greater than the age cutoff, then the sales tax rate is going to be equal to 0. So once again, we're going to overwrite the original 8% with 0 because they don't get taxed for that. And then everything else works out perfectly. Notice that this decision here has absolutely nothing to do with that decision up there. All right, and now that gives us everything that we need for each of the scenarios. And now we're ready to go ahead and flow chart. So let's do that next. Trying to think if I'm missing something here. Well, I guess we can save it. All right, let's go ahead and save it. My computer's running a little bit slow today. I hope it's not messing up the video. Okay, so we'll go into lessons, not assignment, assignment 4, lessons, and this will be hardware prob state. And again, remember, always we have to put .txt at the end. All right, that's done. Let's move on to the flowchart.